Welcome back to the Michelle Atoka podcast. Today, Grace and I are just taking it real easy with our coffees on our couches. So welcome back, Grace, from your, hiatus. I would like to say that.
Hi, everyone.
She's a jet setter now, so, you may see Grace, you may not see Grace. We don't know.
That's not true. I got Wi-Fi now everywhere I go, so it's good. It's good.
Okay.
I have to say, though, she made me the best coffee. Like, what'd you put in it? It's so good.
So I started using organic. I mean, that's another topic, but I started using organic beans. It's a dark West Coast from BC, organic. So I just bought it at Bulk Barn. Just full disclosure. I don't even know what the brand is. But anyways, long story short, what a difference in the coffee and keto cream.
Oh my God. This is so, I've been doing intermittent fasting for about 4 years, but the last few months, I haven't really reached 16 hours most days. So, but I was driving here, I was kind of getting hungry, but this keto cream that I put in here,
this provides the
I'm
fats.
actually, like that hunger is gone. So anyways, if you guys, that is really good coffee. Like I want to drink it like water. It's
I
so
feel
good.
like we should have like on the bottom, scrolling like on a news, like Grace is a squirrel. She will be here, there, and I mean, I gotta rein her in, or like, I don't know. Okay, anyways, long story short, good coffee. But today we're gonna talk about big elephant in the room. Yeah. And the pandemic. Because I feel like nobody really wants to say anything. It's like one of those like family members where you're like, oh, they're coming, they may have been rude at one point. You just like brush it under the rug. Like, okay, let's just not talk about it.
Do you find now, the big elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Like there was an elephant in the room, but I find now that things are opening up, there's even a bigger elephant. Like,
yeah.
Because I thought once things started opening up that it would be gone.
Yeah.
But like I find like now it's even bigger. Like it's like that big heavy thing on your chest.
So true. Like 2 years ago, right? March 2020, things are happening, shutting down. No one knows what's up. Nobody knows. So everyone is like on fight or flight. We all just locked down.
Well, I was going to say, I remember, so we had a dance competition the weekend before everything shut down.
Yeah.
And I remember, we were watching the news, all this stuff was happening. So when things shut down, like the first 2 weeks, I'm like, oh my God, we're all going to die because we were in a room with like 1,000 moms and daughters at the dance comp and we're watching the news and people are like dropping like flies in China. And I was like, oh my God, we're all going to die, right? So the first 2 weeks, I was like,
it's
so
panic
scared.
mode, right?
Yeah,
and then you think like, okay, they never shut the schools. Okay. Like I have a studio, so I was like, 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
This is going to blow over. Then it's like, another month. And then you think, okay, wait a minute. At the beginning, you're like, okay, I'm not sure what to think of it, but I kind of like this time off.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God, remember we were doing FaceTime?
We were doing FaceTime, like things that we never would do as a family, FaceTiming, dressing up, and kind of just like enjoying the time.
We were having like wine FaceTime.
I know, and the thing
you guys
is,
are making fun of my silk pajamas.
oh my gosh, it just allowed people to just like reset.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, we've been going to sports and this and that and teaching. I was like, you know what, kind of like this. I don't have to see anybody.
Yeah.
Okay? Post 2 years. Okay? It starts to wear down on you. Wait a minute. You start to forget what life was like. Now, this podcast is not, this is right, this is wrong.
Yeah.
We are just speaking candidly about our experiences.
And how we feel
about
it.
And like, it's not meant to be like, oh, we have our views and we're pushing them. It's just completely organic, okay?
Yeah.
But Grace and I thought today, like, what, excuse me, what do we want to talk about that's really going to resonate with women? And we've come to the conclusion that this elephant is like, we have come out of it, and there's a lot of fear.
Well, there's fear, but okay, I'm going to say, I have to disagree with you. I'm going to agree to disagree with you. So I think there's no gray area. It's black or white. Either there's fear or there's not. Either you're pro or you're anti. Like, there's no in between. And I do find that, I know for myself personally, I was so excited for things to open up, right? Like, thank God things are starting to open up because, I'm getting bored and I can't live like this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But in the same sense, it's like almost coming out of prison.
Yeah.
Right? And now you have to like re-enter the world. And it's like, oh my God, like I got to get ready. Like I always woke up during the pandemic. I still woke up like 4:45, got ready every morning, worked out. I had like a really strict routine, right? I got ready. But it was different, right? Like yeah, just didn't leave the house, right?
Yeah.
But now it's like, even on the weekends, if we're going to go out, it's like, oh, I got to do my hair, I got to put my makeup on, right? And it's like, and I want, like, so it's like I'm almost like torn.
Yeah.
I want to go out, and then even when I'm out, I'm like, oh my God, like, I got to get to
go
bed.
home.
I got to wake up in the morning, like, because my routine was so strict during the pandemic. You know, I was taking this mindset course. I was on calls at 6 o'clock in the morning. Like, I was rigid, right? So now it's like, well, I can't stay out till 2 o'clock in the morning like I used to. Like, I got to get up.
So true.
So it's like, it's everything. Like, I have to get ready. I have to go to bed. I have to. So it's like I'm almost torn. Like, I'm torn between both lives. And then too, it's like, oh, before the pandemic, I was like this big social bug, right? So I'm like, oh, Grace, you're a social bug. Like, you need to do this. You need to do this. But I've changed. Yeah. Like, I'm not the same person.
The change thing is huge. It's like, you know, I think of it like myself too. I went through a crazy amount of change, and a lot of it was forced, right? I had to go online. I had to learn. I had to read.
The pivot word of the pandemic.
Okay, you think of friends, and like I just like the word pivot, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I can sit back and think, you know what? Change served me. It really did, because it allowed me to assess my life and figure out, you know what? If it's not serving me, it gave me the courage. Like, that's the thing. Before the pandemic, and this never leaves, but I've shared before, I'm a people pleaser. I, like Grace, opposite. I don't like black and white. I'm like, oh, there's a gray because I don't know if I should do this. I was very much in the gray. When the pandemic happened, you're forced to be like, okay, this is how it has to be. You can't go out. You have to make money. Your business has to go online. There was no gray. Yeah. It was black or white, like Grace is saying. But then I realized over time, wait a minute, I'm changing. I like the new me. Yeah. I am more positive.
But if there was no pandemic, you wouldn't be forced. Like, that's one good thing about the pandemic, right? Let's even talk about, and this is not against like any of my friends or my family, but we're just saying in general, okay? So with me too, right? I've noticed like some friendships didn't serve me anymore, right? Yeah. Because I changed. They're not bad people.
No.
I'm not a bad person. But because like there was so much like I know mindset's a big word now, but there was so much mindset change.
Yeah.
And so much going on and so much change in like such a short period of time that it kind of, you know, maybe I thought it before, but like because of the pandemic, it's like, yeah, you know what, this person doesn't resonate with me anymore.
Yeah.
Like I have nothing in common with this person. They're great people, but with me, I don't click. Right?
And Grace like hit on the nail. This is the thing. It's like, I feel, this is my opinion, it should be okay to say, listen, like we had a good run. And right now, you know, if people just were very honest and say, you know what, these are my values right now, this is what I'm into, this is what serves me, and you know what, it was a good run and respectful, and there's no right or wrong. The thing is that when you change, people think it's a bad thing. Like, I don't like to go out anymore. I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe there isn't anything wrong with you. Maybe the time has passed. Maybe you're into, I don't know, gardening, knitting, getting a puppy, whatever it may be. Maybe that isn't what you want to do anymore.
And that's where I sometimes struggle. But I notice this too. If you've noticed with your clients and anyone, some of my customers or clients I speak to, is during the pandemic, there's two sets of people.
Yeah.
Either you got really fit, and all of a sudden you see these people, and you're like, "Whoa, what happened to you?" And they're like, "Oh, the pandemic. I started working out. I started eating healthy." Or there's the other group that, you know, very stressed,
waited, said, "You know what? When things open up."
Yeah, right, and they gained weight, right? So now, and I find with that group of, we're gonna use women because I deal mostly with women like you do as well. Is they're like, oh my goodness, now everything's opened up. Holy, I have this extra 20 pounds. I don't want to go out. Like I feel awful. Yeah. So that's even more pressure on top of them. Absolutely. Not only did they go through the pandemic, right? Because I'm an emotional eater as well, but because during the pandemic, I just brought my exercising to the next level, right? Because I was doing what else are you going to do during the pandemic, right? Because I could have been that person too that gained 20 pounds because it's so easy to do because I'm a stress eater, right? So now I find with some women, they've gained the weight and they didn't take care of themselves. They feel sluggish. And now they have to go back out into society. It's like they've gone out of prison. Now they have to re-enter society. Yeah. and now they even feel worse.
Yeah.
So the mindset, the weight,
and the thing is, like you said, that's a good analogy. Getting out of prison.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that like we had a hard.
No,
we're not
we're
healthy.
not
I'm
saying-
just saying
it's just
one
like
of those
you're
things where
re-entering.
it's just like I don't even know how to be. I don't. I'll give you an example. I'm doing in-person classes, and people I haven't seen in 2 years will come, and I'm like, do I give you a hug? I want to give you a hug. They want to give me a hug, and that there's an awkwardness. I'm like, let's hug. But then you hug, and you're like, should I have hugged? I'm not sure. Your mind is racing because we have been told to spread apart. But the heart does not want to spread apart. That is the thing. The heart does not want to do
as
it.
humans, we need connection.
We do.
It's funny you say that because on the weekend I saw someone, and there was a group of 3 people, and one was wearing a mask.
Mhm.
Okay, so, and I know this family is very cautious, right? But they weren't wearing a mask, so I lunged and I gave a hug to 2 of them. But the other person was wearing a mask, and I just shook his hand. So after we left and we were driving away, I said, I was with my daughter Victoria, and I said, then I'm second guessing myself. I said, should I have hugged him?
Yeah.
Should I not have hugged him? Was that rude that I hugged 2 of his family members and not him? Do you think the people I did hug,
Yeah.
do you think now they're worried? And all these thoughts are running through my head. And then, so we were in Florida last week.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I get there, right, so neighbors are coming to introduce themselves, and they're hugging us, and because it's weird because I'm like, hi, like I'm standing far away because I don't know how they are, right? But they're like fine, and like we're going out, and like
that's the thing, like we're dealing with so much, so
yeah,
it's really it takes time. This is the whole point, is that there's no right or wrong, is that maybe you need more time to re-enter society.
Yeah.
When someone comes out of prison, I'm sure they don't just go and be like, oh, that was great, okay, moving on. I'm sure there are steps to re-enter. I'm sure they need to do work every single day, and we're no different.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, I think you have to accept that, I think number one, we have to accept that no matter what, like say you didn't even go through a lot, you just were like locked in the house or whatever, we still have changed.
It's like trauma.
2 years of our lives, right? Like, so just think of being pregnant for 9 months, just 9 months, you change as women, right? So 2 years, we've changed, like we're all different people, right? And I think too, my biggest thing is I really feel that people are angry.
Oh, I was
tired.
just about to say it.
Okay, I'm going to say it. Like, everyone's angry. Like, it's awful. It's either, and I'm just going to say this as an example, either you're pro-mask or anti-vax, pro-V, anti-V, whatever you are, but it's either, it can go on both sides. So if you are anti-V, you know, I find some people that are just like, so how dare you get it? And if you are pro it, then they're like, how dare you don't get it? It's like, I know we say do you, but like,
yeah, we were talking like, okay, you brought up a good point. We were talking before about do you, and I always say just do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I think some people struggle with that. I think they struggle because they don't know who they are, they don't know what they like, they don't know how they want to be. So when you tell someone do you, they're left with an internal struggle. I don't know what I want to be. I am sure that someone doesn't wake up in the morning and want to be angry. I'm sure. And if they do, maybe there are deep-rooted things that need to be worked on. I always say, if someone is rude to me or, you know, whatever, there are a lot of keyboard warriors out there, okay? And at the beginning of the pandemic, I didn't know, but I realized very, very quickly, the only way to be was positive. I would never entertain any negativity from anybody.
You were really good with that because I remember sometimes I would call you, and I do think that both of us during the pandemic, we went through a lot of mindset shifts.
For sure.
Like, I ended up taking that course, which completely changed my life, which made me teach me perspective, right? We all have a perspective, how we see things, right? Because you might think something, so if you say something to offend me, I have to look at it and say, okay, well, what's her perspective? And then if you look at somebody else's perspective, you're like, oh, okay, I could see that, and it changes. And you were really good because sometimes I would see stuff on social and I would call you and you're like, Grace, like, just, you know what? It's not worth it. It's not this.
It's not, because this is the thing. You don't know where they're coming from. And honestly, I always say, like, if someone is spewing out negativity, why would I want to entertain that?
Yeah.
Don't lower yourself to the level. I teach my kids the same thing. Don't add fuel to a fire, because if you do, you're going to be part of that fire.
I just had, and this is like squirrel brain, completely off topic. But our next topic should be if somebody says, "Don't tell nobody," but you have sisters.
Oh my God! Well, that is a code. That's a secret code of sisters. When you tell someone, okay,
that's totally going
like even
on
through husbands, okay, like I know probably husbands are gonna watch this, maybe mine, and if you say like, let's keep between us, well, like between us means between the three sisters, like that really is the secret code, and we've used that code forever, okay?
Yeah.
Or it would be like, don't tell your other sister, and then you know you're gonna tell the other sister.
Oh yeah.
Because I want to tell them, right? Or
I wanted
something.
to tell you something yesterday. I'm like, I'm just gonna go tell Maria.
Yeah, exactly.
Not that was a big secret.
And like we all want to tell, we all want to be the same time. We want to know the same time. So if my mother, this is okay. Now I'm on the squirrel train too.
I know.
If my mother says, you know, like I want to do this, I'm like, did you tell the other two? Well, we have a brother too, but.
Oh,
and then
that's
she's
another,
like,
that's
no.
another podcast.
I'm like, well, don't tell me only. You better tell them because I know that this one needs to be told first.
I'm the last to know though.
Oh my God. But anyways, listen up. We just want to like really make it okay to not be ready. Because that's the thing. Like Grace said, you either took this pandemic as a chance and you had the opportunities. Okay, I want to be very clear. You had the opportunities to work from home in a situation where you could better yourself. Maybe you didn't have those opportunities. Maybe you were working in healthcare and you didn't have that. You were always working. 100% understand. But if you have those opportunities and you grew from them, I have members like that, they transform their whole life, okay? And they're coming out of this situation better. But I also know that some didn't. Some are still feeling guilt. Like, you know?
Well, it just made me think about something too, you know. I'm thinking of a client that I had, and I'm sure she's not the only one, but, and unfortunately, right, if she has, and it could be anybody, okay, she has taken this pandemic and used it actually against herself and whatever, and it's like continual, like, it's like never ending, and it's like, because of this, I had this, and because of this, I had this. So you could turn this pandemic too into a negative, I'm going to say pity train, right? Like where you're going to use the pandemic for the rest of your life and say, this is because of this, because of this, because of this.
Yeah.
No, it has to stop right here, right? Because at the end of the day, eventually we're going to be completely opened up at some point, right?
Yeah.
And we have to learn to, number one, live with this. Number two, live with our neighbors, our family, our friends, right? And we have to really learn to see another person's perspective. If you don't like wearing, say, the mask, and somebody you know likes wearing the mask, well, you have to look at their perspective and be like,
exactly.
Okay, well, maybe they have an underlying condition. Maybe their family members have an underlying condition. Maybe they feel more safer with the mask. Like, not like, oh my gosh, like everything's opened up. Why are they still wearing the mask, right? Like everyone has a perspective, and if we can just stop for a second and just look at someone else's perspective, and then it goes the other way around. If somebody doesn't want to wear one, look at their perspective. Yeah. Maybe they feel safe without it. It's their body, it's their choice, whatever. Like just be nice.
To add to that, you're gonna have to decide whether you want to forgive or forget. Because I am sure that everyone has an experience through this pandemic that maybe wasn't great. Maybe it has left them with a broken heart a little bit, little grief. And you need to decide, do you want to continue to harbor that resentment, that grief, that hurt, or are you willing to move on?
Nobody, I think, has gone through this pandemic unscathed with a relationship. I honestly, like, I have not spoken to one person that has not been affected by a family member, a friendship, a neighbor, a coworker, that has had a little bit of a broken heart, like a little tinge, like, oh, you know what, that really hurt me. And sometimes there's been like texts going back and forth where it's been a normal text, and then something has been said that's been like, oh, you know what, like that really hurt. Like they knew my opinion on this matter. Like, why would they say that to me, you know? And it's just been like, okay, where did that come from? Because it's always coming from somewhere. When somebody reacts to something, so you can react I can't think of the word now. I just went blank. React.
But also too, like awareness. Maybe
Yeah.
you were the person that said something rude. You gotta be aware. So not only
No, but sometimes when people say something rude, they don't think they did.
no, they don't. But I'm just saying that if you become to the point where you are aware of it, own up to it.
Yes, that's the biggest thing.
Own up to it.
Just
if you
say
said
it.
something that was rude and you've been harboring it, you cannot move on because that thing will always come up. When you see that person, it's going to be a bigger elephant, like Grace said, in the room until you say, you know what? I wasn't myself. I shouldn't have said those things. I am sorry. Whether they forgive you,
I was
who
just gonna say
cares?
that.
Who cares? They don't want to forgive you. That is fine. You forgive yourself.
There's
You are a bigger
something
person.
so powerful, even if they don't forgive you. For you, like say even after 2 years, say I offended somebody and I know I offended them and I stopped hanging around them or whatever, and I go up to that person or just call them and say, you know what? Even just a text and say, you know what? I really don't want to call you. I really feel uncomfortable the way I treated you or the way I responded or reacted, whatever. But you know what? Now looking back, hindsight, that was rude of me or whatever. Even if that person doesn't respond to you, there's such a power to say, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry I was wrong looking back. I know maybe you may not forgive me, but I just want to say I'm sorry. Like clean the air. And I'm just going to go into disease, right? If you've done any kind of research into cancer, whatever, how I talk about food as medicine.
Yeah. True.
Holding resentment, it causes disease. That's one of the biggest things that causes cancer. And there's that Chinese proverb is like, holding resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Ooh,
So
that's good.
that is very powerful. So you're holding resentment. It's not going to hurt the other person.
No.
It's only going to hurt you. So there's such power to say sorry. And I had such a hard time saying sorry. You know, if I get into a fight with Gino, I can never say sorry, even if I was wrong. But now, as much as it's so hard, I will say, you know what? I'm sorry. I was wrong. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. Even if he's like still upset, it's like I don't want to talk about it. I know I've done my part. And
Exactly.
I'm sorry, right? He was so good. Like he could say sorry. If he's wrong, he'll say sorry. But for me, it was so hard. But then it would just fester.
Like we're gonna end this, but Grace is right.
Yeah, I got a hair appointment.
That proverb is good, but I actually bought a book during the pandemic, and it was about marriage and communication, and it was recommended, and it had nothing to do with
okay, whatever though. Who do you need better communication during the pandemic?
It wasn't even. It was about learning to communicate with members. Remember I was talking about a people pleaser? So this book was recommended, even though it said marriage and communication. It was about your lines of communication with family, with people who you interact with, right? And honestly, the lessons, the lessons I learned, the biggest one was when you lead, are you wanting to lead out of compassion and love or out of greed? Now, conversely,
Marianne Williamson, right?
Yeah.
Her book, A Return to Love. That's a really good book, Marianne Williamson. And it's always like lead with love. If you lead with love, even Wayne Dyer and Louise Hay, you'll never have a problem if you lead really with your heart.
And the other thing, which Grace cut me off, but the other thing about this book, this is normal. I'm glad she's back because I was confused without her. The last thing about this book that it says that if you get in a fight with someone or an argument, you have to decide, do you want to be right or do you want to be loved? Now, sometimes you need to go over and above even when you feel you were right, because what is the point? If you want to be right, you might stick with this argument forever. But if you want to be loved, you love each other.
Yeah.
Move on.
You just made me think of something, how you have to go above, right?
Yeah.
Above and beyond. So I read all these books, but again, we think a relationship, use an example like a marriage relationship is 50-50. No, a marriage relationship is not 50-50, and neither is a sister relationship, a friend, whatever. Someone is always doing more. That's normal, right? So again, even with your friendships, like right now, if you need to mend a friendship, you really want to mend what you broke, you might have to do more for the next year.
Yeah.
Like you might have to pour your heart out. But if it's coming from your heart, it's going to work. So if you always lead with your heart, if you lead with love, if you lead sending that text, right? I talk about vibration, right? So our mind, like whatever we think, right? Even before we make a phone call, that vibration, like it goes through, like it travels, right? We're all vibration. We're vibrational humans. So if you send a text, but you really genuinely mean it through love, you will get a different response than, you know what? She really pissed me off, but I'm going to send it anyways and tell her I like her. You're going to get a different response. And because it's all vibrating, everything's vibrating, right? So,
and the whole point is this, okay? So we're going to end it, but there's so much to be spoken about, but you have to do the work yourself, no matter what, pandemic or no pandemic.
Okay, well, we have to talk about that and really quickly, but not today. But you keep saying you have to do the work, but what does that mean?
What is work? Okay, the work is like we just talked about, where it's like you got to look inside yourself. When you wake up in the morning, are you happy with the person looking in the mirror? And it can be physical, it can be within. When I say, like, are you mean to people and you know it? 1. Do you not feel good in your clothes? 2. Do you yell at your kids all the time and feel like you're losing control? 3. You got to say, do I want to wake up every day or go to bed like that?
2, do I react or respond? And number, like, again, whatever number we're on, right? It's awareness. Like my coach said to me, take a bird's eye view and look down at your life.
Yeah.
And say, do I react? Do I respond? Do I see other people's perspective? Right? Do I lead through love? Right? That's so true. Because even if, for an example, you get in a fight with your husband, are you getting mad and just dishing out all this negative stuff, like rehashing the past? Or are you genuinely talking about the fight you're having and just really thinking, I really love this person, let me see what I say, like through your heart. If you always lead through love, even if you don't get the answer you want, because you're not always going to get the answer you want, even when you lead through love, it's still like, I'm compassionate, right? And like doing the work. But doing the work means that it's hard. You're not going to like what you see. You're not going to get the answers you want all the time. It's not always going to go your way.
That,
It's not going to go your way. But when it doesn't go your way, how do you react or respond? Right?
Exactly.
It's really, really important. Like, there's a lot of stuff out there that you could do and whatever. But yeah, it's a lot of work to change, right? And especially as you get older. Like for me, I'm going to be 52. So when the pandemic hit, I was just turning 50. And so it's all that shit growing up, like, and again, I'm not saying I loved my childhood, but it's all the stuff we saw, like with teachers and friends, and I want to say coaches, but I never played sports. But even like, we won't even go there.
That's
another topic.
She did the accordion.
But like, just, and again, we're not putting blame on our parents or whatever, but whatever they knew, they brought on to us, and whatever I knew, I brought on to my kids, right? Like, so, and
yeah. Scroll over here is going on to another topic, but thank you so much for joining us. Please like and share, and remember,
be good people.
Yeah, just be good. And you know what? If you lead with love, even with your comments or with how you're responding on the internet, things will be good. Okay? Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you next time. Ciao. Bye.